How's it going, everybody? It's C-RadTV back here with another video. So, of course, we got ourselves another Detroit Lions NFL draft preview. So, of course, in the last draft preview, we wrapped up the offensive side of the ball by looking at the top wide receiver prospects in this year's draft. Today, we're going to be focusing on the top defensive lineman prospects in this draft and focus now onto the defensive side of the ball. Since the Lions' defense was very bad last year and pretty embarrassing to watch at times. Which that would be an understatement to say the least. So we're going to be looking at the top defensive end / edge rushers and top defensive tackle prospects. Since that also becomes a critical need. Something we maybe we could address in day 2, but you never know what's going to happen in these drafts. Like, I think the draft board is going to be all over the place, with no combine and, the pandemic. But anyway, enough talk. We'll just jump ahead and let's take a look at the top prospects. So the first player we're going to go over here, starting with the defensive ends, we got hailing out of Miami, standing 6'5", weighing 260 pounds, we got Gregory Russell. So Gregory, he's your prototype tackling defensive end. In terms of his strengths, he's a ascending talent, just scratching the surface of potential. He has a lightning quick first step, instantly threatens the edge as a pass rusher, whether he starts out up to 2 or 3 point stance. His long stride allows him to eat up ground, forces tackles on the heels and off balance. He's vulnerable to his counter back inside. He's very good at tackling against the ball carrier. Converts his speed to power as a result, knocks back the would-be blockers. Effective bull rush, shockingly nimble for such a tall edge rusher, shows agility and core flexibility, dips under the reach of edge rushers, shapes the corner tightly. He breaks down well in space, remains squarely in front of the ball carriers, delivers solid hits for a player only a few years removed from playing receiver. Has a good effort, vision and lateral downfield, pursuit. He fades the traffic, uses his long arms, trips up opponents from behind. Still growing into what should become a prototypical frame for a defensive end. Has the ideal height and wingspan. He's surprisingly stout though and run support when he keeps his legs bent and pads level down. Also includes when he's asked to slide inside the defensive tackle. So he does have some flexibility and could play almost anywhere on the defensive line. He has strong hands, can grip and rip himself free from blockers when the ball's near. Consistent producer, 2019 recorded at least 1 sack or tackle for a loss in 9 of 13 games in 2019. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he overly relies too much on his physical gifts when his rush lacking nuisance and diversity. He's beyond his technique. He will take time for him to develop football strength. A lot of his statistics were inflated in that because he moved all over the defensive line in an effort to create advantageous matchups. So he was always moving from one part of the defensive line to the other to try and get an advantage over competition with that flexibility. He doesn't yet string together pass rush moves effectively. His coordination of his upper lower body still work in progress. He needs to get a little stronger. He currently sports lean limbs. He still looks more like a big receiver than a future NFL defensive end. He's also got to show greater awareness of passing lanes and misdirection. He's also been listed as a player that could disappoint, so he's easily one of the biggest boom or bust prospects in the draft. Because he's built like Adonis, but he's a one-year wonder that still learned how to use his hands and leverage effectively. So I think for him to really be a success, it's going to have to come down to coaching and who can coach him up well. I mean, if he coaches and develops well, he'll boom into a great player. If not, he'll be another top first-round bust. So he's easily boom or bust. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's compared to now retired NFL defensive end Javon Curse. So definitely a lot of potential, but yeah, still pretty raw. So really, I think for him to be successful, it's going to come down to coaching, if the coaching staff is as good as Dan Campbell and every company have all said, then maybe this is someone worth taking a shot on. We'll have to see. So the next player we got here, hailing out of Michigan, standing 6'3", weight 277 pounds, we got K-Whitty Payne. So K-Whitty, he's your prototype explosion defensive end, so he's very explosive off the snap. In terms of strengths, power pack frame, excellent weight distribution, includes long arms, tree trunks for thighs / legs. Makes an ideal body armor for what he does best. He possesses just average initial burst for an edge rusher, but he coordinates his hands and feet well to leave blockers stumbling. Wins with a combination length, power, technique, effective running and passing game. Incorporates clever dekes to the outside rim. Strings together moves like an NFL veteran. Long arms gives him a reach advantage, and he possesses incredible upper body strength. He quite literally bench pressing the blockers with a stellar push-pull move to rip through the grasp. Set strong edge, forces running backs to run around him with enough strength. Length and awareness of those around him to pull them down with arm tackles. He's strong and broad enough, can reduce inside the defensive tackle, so he does have some flexibility there. And can be versatile. Offering positional versatility, like I just mentioned. Better athlete than the snaps and anticipation as initial quickness would indicate. Shows impressive core flexibility, can dip under the reach of blockers. Will always get skinny to slip through gaps. He's agile on the move, shows good vision and spatial awareness to pursue laterally and downfield effectively. High effort player, history of big plays and big moments. He's a top-notch athlete that's got a lot of praise for his versatility from his defensive coordinator, Don Brown. And also has been raved about his ability to play up and down the defensive line. Pay is also a Rhode Island state champion in the 4x100 relay and long jump with a jump of 21 feet and 5 inches. So he's also a pretty good track and field athlete too. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he had average production to this point, given his talent. He lacks consistent suddenness off the snap. Teams expect out of an edge rusher. He consistently laid off the ball, gives opponents a slightly advantage, and forces him to pay too often play in react mode, which may just be an issue of timing off the snap. So he's relying on his upper body strength for drag down tackles rather than his exploding through the hips. Leaves some knockdown power on the table. Emotions sometimes usually get the better of him when he brawls with blockers until they echo the whistle and leaves late hit / targeting. He has the arm like scouts adore, but he currently lacks that ball awareness that coaches require. He only tipped just one pass and forced only one fumble in 28 games with Michigan. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's compared to Shaq Lawson of the now Houston Texans. Then Shaq was traded from Miami to Houston the other day, with free agency now starting. So definitely has a lot of potential for sure. But, just a couple things, timing's going to be key. You got to be able to get off the snap pretty quickly. So, yeah, timing's definitely going to be something to work on. Definitely coaching's going to have to work with that for sure. Someone to keep an eye on maybe for sure. And the final defensive end we're going to go over here before we go to the defensive tackles. We have hailing out of Miami, standing 6'5", weighing 266 pounds. We got Jalen Phillips. So Jalen, he's your prototype pass rushing defensive end, so he's very good in the pass rushing. So in terms of strengths, has a great frame, nice length to drop the first draw scouts in, has athleticism to entice them, works well off the snap, showcases quick hands, executes swim moves, and he can shake off blocks. He shows flashes of developing into a premier pass rusher that coaching staffs will want to work with to unlock him. He plays with confidence and can carry it play to play. In terms of weaknesses, though, he struggles with his overall bend, has a tendency to play straight out in his stance. He will fail into terrible reads and leave huge holes, so that's going to be something to work on. He has all the tools to be a successful edge rusher, but he has a long way to go to get there. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Ryan Kerrigan of the Washington No-Skins. SJWs can piss off. I'm not calling them the Washington football team. Washington can go get a real name, and the SJWs can go eat a pile of shit. But yeah, anyway, getting back on topic, Jalen, he has a lot of potential, but he's going to need some time to develop in season for sure. And it's going to come down to coaching too. Definitely, maybe, since the Lions are in rebuild, maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure, especially if he falls to the second round, maybe. So now, moving on to defensive tackles. The first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Iowa, standing 6'3", weighing 305 pounds, we got Davion Nixon out of Iowa. So Davion, he's a prototype pass rushing defensive tackle, so he's very good in the pass rushing game. In terms of his strengths, he has unique athleticism for his portly build. It's obvious from the first snap he shows explosive initial bursts, as well as excellent at lateral agility. Has good body control, can attack gaps, squeeze through tight spaces. At the FBS level, he pairs his upper and lower body well. He coordinates sudden swim moves with lightning-quick feet, gets skinny, can collapse the pocket against the pass or when tracking down runners from behind on Hosses the outside. Shows terrific awareness off the ball, instantly peels off the blocks, pursues laterally and downfield, as low as he gets his hands up into passing lanes to cloud the vision of his rival quarterbacks. While he was only credited with one official pass breakup in 2 seasons at Iowa, his tip and his interception against Penn State is a 71-yard scamper for a score. He perfectly encapsulates his natural playmaking ability. He appears possessed of disproportionately long arms and strong hands. Allows him to rip through blocks with shocking ease, and he can deliver thunderous, intimidating tackles. For his weaknesses, though, for all his highlight reel plays, it should also be noted that he was surrounded by a nationally underrated defensive line in Iowa, which feasted along some uncharacteristically poor plays up front by the Big Ten blocking unit. He's more sizzled and stout, stands up and snap at times, loses natural leverage advantage. He's a classic read and react defender, can be lured upfield, can leave himself vulnerable to draws. Screens and some other misdirections, though, to his credit. He trusts his eyes. He's athletic enough that when he guesses right, he could deliver game-changing plays. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Kenny Clark of the Green Bay Packers. So definitely someone with a lot of potential for sure. A couple issues there to season out, but, definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. And the final defensive tackle, the final defensive lineman, the final player we're going to go over in this video, hailing out of Alabama, standing 6'5", weighing 310 pounds, we got Christian Barmore. So Christian, he's a prototype run defensive tackle, so he's very good in stuffing the run in the run game. In terms of strengths, he finished the year on a strong, productive note. He showcased versatility all over the defensive line to spark additional interest among scouts. So he does have some versatility. He can play almost anywhere on the line. He was tasked at Alabama to work in the 1-tech, the 3-tech, and the 5-tech roles even during the season. And he excelled at each spot. He showcases plenty of potential. Quick moving, gets off the line well, illustrates strong hands, drives to work pass blocking assignments. Even faces double teams, did a great job using those physical skills, shoots the gap, gets it to the backfield. In terms of weaknesses, though, his limited snaps was a bit of an issue for him, as he had a handful of lingering issues he dealt with during his college career. He assumed he is taken in for the first round and maybe doesn't fall to early second round. He would be expected to stay on the field longer than he did with Alabama, but that also could have been at least partly because of the talent mass in Alabama's rotation, considering that Alabama has a history of producing a lot of great NFL defensive linemen. Like, in terms of NFL defensive linemen, Alabama has been considered the best college at developing them. Usually, a lot of great defensive linemen have come out of Alabama. Alabama has a really good defensive lineman program for sure. Continuing on, his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Leonard Williams of the New York Giants. So definitely someone with a lot of potential and versatility, though. It could really help be a piece in the run game too, since the Lions' running game was one of the fucking worst, has been fucking terrible the last few years. And yeah, the Lions do need a defensive tackle. So yeah, definitely maybe if he falls in the second, maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for this NFL draft preview. So yeah, definitely a lot of interesting defensive lineman prospects to take a look at. You know, I don't think defensive lineman will be a big need until maybe the second round, for sure. But yeah, definitely some names to keep an eye on for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up here. We're still going to focus on the defensive side of ball, since a lot of the Lions' big needs are on the defense, especially with how bad that defense was last year. But yeah, next preview, we're going to look at the next position on defense, the linebacker, since linebacker's a big-time need. But yeah, anyway, that's all I got to say. Hope everyone has a great day, and yeah, hail the Outsiders and hail the great Detroit Masterplan.